Hello and welcome to News Central Now here on News Central Television. I am Joe Hanson. Let's take a look at the top stories for this morning. Reactions trail NNPCL increase in petrol prices as filling stations nationwide rejects price hike. Voting, counting of ballot papers end in local government election across 17 council areas of Plateau State. We'll also tell you about the vote counting that started in Mozambique general election as opposition warns against fraud. Stay here to get all the details and more. We'll be right back. Let's begin by telling you that the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) has rejected the new increase in petrol pump prices, saying it will further deepen poverty in the country. In a statement, the NLC President Joe Ajaero said it will further deepen poverty as production capacity is deep and more jobs are lost with multi-dimensional negative effects. He urged the government to immediately reverse the rate hike as previous increases did not produce any good results. He added that the Congress is dismayed by the latest increase in the pump price of petrol. Fuel prices have risen again at Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited (NNPCL) filling stations. In the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, the price has increased from 897 naira to 1,030 naira per litre, while in Lagos it's gone up from 885 naira to 998 naira per litre. The price increase follows reports that NNPC has pulled out of a deal to buy fuel from the Dangote refinery. At the time of filing this report, the NNPC spokesperson was unavailable to confirm the price rise. This is the second price hike in 2 months. Long queues have already formed at NNPC stations in Abuja and Lagos as motorists wait angrily to buy petrol.
So we don't just know what to say about the fuel issue. We are just tired. Not until this morning we heard that the fuel is up to 1,000 something again by NNPC. So we don't know what to do. We are just praying to God for God to just intervene because we all are tired. From my house to this place before, I'm always using 500 naira, but now it has increased to 1,500. From my house to Bagada, from Moebafo to Bagada is 1,500.
From 5 something, if I don't go 990, it's not done. Make an airport this Nigeria, make not kill everybody. To eat inside room is a problem. I beg an airport this Nigeria, it's not done. This is our country. Everything I don't buy 1,000 by next week now. All markets go carry money go up. It's not done. Making the airports in this Nigeria.
What I think they want to do is they actually want to arrive at a price known to them. So I will suggest to them to just quickly jump to that price instead of making us go through stress like this. She understand. I don't want to say this out. I know I do tell my colleagues and friends that okay, what I think government are doing is they're actually measuring the dollar with our naira. Okay, let me just say it. To me, I'm thinking they are going to $1 per liter. That's their plan. You know, they don't deal on naira anymore. They deal on dollars. And when you look at what dollars is talking about now, probably 1.5 to 1.6 or something. So what they are trying to do is to bring this fuel to 1.5, 1.6, or whatever that will measure up to.
Well, away from the fuel crisis issue now, Nigeria's Controller General of Customs, Adewale Adeniyi, has declared a total war on smugglers, labeling them as enemies of Nigeria's development. Adeniyi made this declaration on Wednesday in Yola during an update on the activities of Operation Whirlwind, a strategic initiative aimed at curbing fuel smuggling across Nigeria's borders. Represented by the Deputy Controller General of Enforcement Investigations and Inspections, Olani Olajogun, the CG disclosed that 2 filling stations in Adamawa, Oilpad Global Services Limited, located opposite Yola International Airport, and Gawi Oil Nigeria Limited along Newman Road, and had been fined by a court for the involvement in smuggling activities. And now to judicial matters. The Nigerian Senate has mandated immediate compliance with the Supreme Court's ruling on local government funding. The resolution was reached on the floor of the Senate on Wednesday after a debate on a motion by lawmaker representing Anambra North, Tony Nwoye. In his lead debate, Senator Nwoye raised concerns about governors trying to enact laws to control local government funds illegally. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, assured that the National Assembly will take immediate steps to alter sections of the Constitution to give full autonomy to local government administration in the country.
Few state governments, through their respective state House of Assembly, through their different state House of Assembly, seek to enact laws, while some have already enacted laws and continue to take action that undermine the financial autonomy of local governments, thereby breaching the constitutional provision 1999 Constitution, as well as the judgment of the Supreme Court. The Senate further concerned that the modus operandi of subverting this financial autonomy of local governments by state government through the House of Assembly is to insert clauses in their state laws that require local governments, upon receipt of this federal allocation from federation account, to remit all or majority or substantial part of the allocation to a dedicated account, who the state government will keep on controlling, managing, and disburse as they like, using nomenclature like
all of you for your contributions, and I assure you that the 10th Senate, working with our colleagues in the House of Representatives, will alter any aspect of our Constitution, amend any section of our laws to ensure full autonomy to the local government administrations in this country, so that it will be recognized fully in action and in fact.
The newly deployed Commissioner of Police in Rivers State, Bala Mustafa, on Wednesday embarked on a tour to some local government secretariats in the state for an on-spot assessment following violence and arson attacks on some LGA councils on Monday, when the council chairman and councillors assumed office. Some of the local government secretariats visited are Port Harcourt, Obiakpo, Emuohua, Ikwere and Eleme councils. In an interview with journalists at Ikwere LGA Secretariat, he assured the public of their safety and assured residents of the state that police officers were going to investigate the case thoroughly and submit their report to the Inspector General of Police. Our correspondent Austin Azu reports that CP Mustafa was accompanied by members of his management team and senior officers.
Of the situation on ground so far and what had happened to those areas mentioned, and we are taking actions, and we have embarked on full-scale investigation. We have set up a high-powered investigation team under the supervision of the DCCID to be assisted by the Assistant Commissioner of Police CID. We have seasoned officers who are going to investigate the case thoroughly. Subsequently, we'll submit our report to the Inspector General of Police.
Okay. When you visited some of the secretariats, we saw some of the officials, some of the council chairmen were there, some other council staff were also there, and security personnel. We saw you interacting with them. What was your message to those you met at this various secretariats?
I am preaching the gospel of peace to them. I am a peacemaker. I am an ambassador of peace. I am a represented peace and blessing up for peacemakers. So my message to them is we should collaborate with everybody in the state to ensure safety and security, to maintain law and order, to have peace.
We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll tell you more as voting and counting of ballot papers end across 17 local council areas of Plateau State. Stay with us. And thanks for staying with us. To security updates now. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory has commended the Nigerian military for its efforts in combating insecurity in the country and tackling insurgency. This was as he received the Chief of Defense Staff at the Federal Capital Territory Administration Headquarters, where the Defense Chief intimated, the Minister of the upcoming Africa Military Games, scheduled to hold in November this year. The Defense Chief called for the support of the Minister, saying that the Games will showcase Nigeria to the world and dismiss false claims that Nigeria is unsafe.
This is the second edition. Nigeria is the second country that is hosting such a grand event. It is to showcase Nigeria in great light to the world, not only in Africa, but to the entire world, that Abuja is safe, Nigeria is safe. Most people, when you travel out, the impression they give of Nigeria is that Nigeria is very hostile, it's a hostile environment. that when you come in, there's a lot of killings and all this. When you notice that Nigeria is more secure than most of these countries that also talk. Here, the press enjoys so much freedom, so everything is being reported, and that's why people think that it's not safe. But we all know that Nigeria is safe. Abuja is one of the safest places that anybody will ever live. We want to thank you for that, sir. We're expecting over 40 countries so far that are coming with their armed forces to come here for a period of 1 week. Some might be coming earlier, and so we said we should come because, sir, you are the grand host, because you are the landlord. We're going to leverage on you, sir, for a very, very successful and hitch-free. It is part of the renewed agenda of Mr. President, projecting Nigeria to the world.
CDS, let me assure you, we are here to work together. If there are any areas you think that are not clear, let us know. And let me commend you for the support of your men with other security agencies. In terms of security in Abuja, they've done quite well. We will not have arrived here to say, okay, everything is over. All over the world, you still have some pockets of insecurity everywhere. So do not be deterred. Do not be deterred. You are doing very well. The security has come down. Even the insurgency has also reduced.
The third edition of the African Monetary and Economic Sovereignty Conference has officially commenced in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, hosted by International Development Economies Associates, Ideas, and the Coalition for Dialogue on Africa, CODA. The conference focuses on strategies to drive Africa's economic growth through a multipolar global framework. New Central's business correspondent Perpetua Fasami-Peters reports from Addis Ababa.
We're experiencing changing geopolitical dynamics and an emerging multipolar world. We are therefore required to rethink global arrangements which came about after the end of the Second World War. Many of the political and economic arrangements put in place then are no longer fit for purpose.
This statement set the tone for the three-day high-level conference aimed at ensuring that Africa leverages its economic and political bargaining power to reap the opportunities associated with the emerging multipolar order.
The reflection is, what could we do to unite together to have a kind of a cartel about, our commodities? Other aspects are, how could we trade together without having to use, for example, the US dollar or the euro? So, for example, if Ghana has to trade with Kenya, why use the US dollar?
Highlighting the need for coordinated action and the revival of the new International Economic Order, NIEO, which aimed to reform global economic, trade and financial systems in favor of the Global South, David Adler stressed the importance of decisive action from the Global South.
If you owe the bank $1 million, the bank owns you. But if you owe the bank $100 million, well, you own the bank because the bank is in so much debt. Individually, a country like Zambia or Sri Lanka or indeed Brazil may have a certain amount of debt, and that individually puts them at the whims of the IMF, to their conditionalities, their demands, their desires. But if the countries of the South together can form a club of debtors, a cartel of debtors, they own the IMF. They can coordinate their payment schedules to say, we're going to dictate the terms of our repayment because they own the IMF in return.
Panelists and participants on day one of the conference averred that the rebalancing of international relations is a trend that seems irreversible. Hence, they emphasized the need for Africa to carefully assess its economic options and take strategic action. In Addis Ababa, for News Central, I am Perpetua Fasami-Peters.
Nigeria's federal government has been tasked to collaborate with youth groups in achieving effective climate action for the country. This was during a summit in Abuja, which was aimed at equipping youths with adequate skills to understand the nation's climate action plan and implement same in communities across the country. Amadine Uyi tells us more in this report.
The summit had in attendance youth-led civil society organizations as they presented their work around climate action and shared their achievements. The session, which is designed to foster collaboration, learning, and mutual support among the groups, aimed at equipping the youths with the skills to understand Nigeria's climate action plan.
This program, which is empowering youth civil society organizations to build stronger communities in Nigeria, is training youth organizations to understand Nigeria's climate action priorities and the role that they can play in the implementation.
Today at this event, what became really clear, one thing that was mentioned every time again, for me was awareness, and I think it's becoming increasingly visible that awareness is a huge factor in the work on climate change. So this means that even though the effects of climate change are quite real, even in Nigeria, and we can see them and experience them, lots of people are not aware that these are actually the effects of climate. So we heard in one presentation that all throughout August there was no rain, and people were wondering why is there no rain, but they were never connecting it to climate change. Because
some of the groups say the summit will place young persons in Nigeria at the core of the nation's climate action plan, making them part of Nigeria's change process. They also called for more collaboration with governments in a bid to tackle problems resulting from climate change.
The good thing about where we are right now is that there's more awareness. Young people are paying more attention. I mean, young people make up 65% of the population in Nigeria. And imagine if we had that population actually raising awareness about climate change, we'll be in a better place come COP29, and which is what this summit is about, getting young people to be involved in the conversation, to be part of the change makers who are going to be there, be part of the policies that would, be in place when Nigeria goes to COP29.
So far, we've been getting little support from the government. We've not gotten the kind of support we want. And you know that, like they say, young people are the bedrock of any proven or growing society. So it means that for us at Enugu, we would like for more partnership with the government, right, to be able to get to the final solution a bit better.
We have a lot of green grass emissions. You see a lot of dump sites, and in those communities you don't have like a specific dump site where that people can come and they can pack it, and also maybe recycle that. So those are one of the problems. We also have a lot of problems in terms of flooding, where we don't have proper drainage systems, and right now we are now also working with Ministry of Environment and to see how we can be able to solve those kind of problems, and these are just local context issues that we are trying to solve.
Participants at the summit say they hope to form a synergy that will help the nation achieve its climate action goals. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
The first set of postage stamps issued for the area known as Nigeria clocked 150 years on the 10th of June 2024. The stamps, popularly referred to as Stamps of Lagos, were released in 1874. The Nigeria Postal Service (NIPOST) have now unveiled two new stamps to mark the World Post Day and the 150th anniversary of World Postal Service by the Universal Postal Union (UPU). News Central's Chidima Ona has more in this report.
In celebration of World Postal Day, Postmaster General and Chief Executive Officer Tola Odeyemi highlighted the transformative impact of digitization on the postal industry. In her address, Odeyemi underscored how advancement in technology have significantly improved postal operations, enhancing both efficiency and service delivery.
So what digitalization has done to the postal service is that it has made the postal services globally to evolve from just looking at letters. We have now evolved into e-commerce, logistics, and digitalized communication. So the only thing it has done is forced us to evolve to meet our customers' needs. Another thing that we've done is we've expanded our services beyond just postal. So we now have e-commerce, we have logistics, we have haulage. We have just launched our financial services. So we've also increased the financial services, and we're also expanding into last mile delivery of government services solutions. So things like NIN registrations. So we're into that now.
Addressing the challenges the Nigerian Postal Service has faced over the years, which have diminished its appeal to many Nigerians, The Postmaster General and other staff highlighted that while the postal system may have struggled to maintain relevance in an increasingly digital world, the cultural and financial value of collecting stamps remains significant.
The hobby of collecting stamp and studying stamp, which is also known as philately, it's a very interesting hobby. In the past, it used to be a pleasure thing, but now it's becoming business, because when you now collect stamp or stamp item or postal stationery, you can now, over time, you can now sell them or swap them for a higher price than you buy them initially.
So stamp collection is also a passion. It's a form of cultural exchange as well, because people are collecting stamps globally, and you get to learn about world leaders and events globally, because stamps usually commemorate a leader, an event. So it's cultural exchange, as well as, you know, people make money from their hobbies, which a lot of philatelists have been doing for a long time.
As the world becomes increasingly interconnected through digitization, there is growing hope that the postal system will evolve to meet modern needs while retaining its distinctive ability to foster personal connections through traditional letter writing. In Lagos for News Central, I am Chidima Ona.
Coming up next, South African police probe death of 5 children. We'll bring you details of this story and more after this break. Thanks for staying with us here on News Now on News Central Television. The biggest conversation is the fuel increase that has suddenly gotten Nigerians talking. And we'll be joining our man now in Maiduguri, Umaru Kirawa, who also has an update for us concerning how Nigerians are reacting to the current situation. Thanks for joining us, Umaru. I do understand that you are situated at a filling station currently and joining us now. Can you quickly share with us what the update simply is? Has a fuel price increase affected areas there in the north where you are? And most importantly, how are Nigerians reacting to it?
Well, the fuel pricing situation is unfortunate. It's coming at a wrong time always. And, you know, our people have gone through very difficult times. The insurgency coupled with the flood disaster that devastated them. So many narratives. Unfortunately, they woke up to a new pump price. Some filling stations are selling at the price of 1,250 naira. Like the one I'm standing now, they are selling at 1,250 naira. And most of the filling stations, in fact, are closed. They are not selling. They are not selling fuel to people. And in fact, even some people have even started parking their cars, embracing public transport, embracing the government public transport that was recently introduced, which is a little bit cheaper than using your official vehicle and public and using official vehicle. So I have one of Nigerians who is here to take fuel, is using his tricycle. He's here with us. So Baba, kaga mana da farko ya sunanka?
Sunana Suleiman.
Okay, ya farashin mai kuma ya kuke fama da farashin mai?
Farashin mai mun tashi a gaskiya sai muka samu sabon farashi na mai. Ba haka ba, shi kuma farashin man wannan dama can wanda muke siya ma yafi karfin mu, kawai dai muna lallaba ne da shi. Ba haka ba, amma abun mamaki mu da muke tunani gwamnati za ta tausaya mana. Ta rage mana man nan a yadda muke siyansa daga 700 mun koka muna neman a rage mana ta zo ta mai da shi 900 da wajen 30 ya fi karfin mu. Kawai muna nan muna rayuwa ne mun zira mata ido mu ga tausayin mu take ji ko ba ta tausayin mu take ji ba. A ƙarshe jiya muka tashi ji goma ta sake mai da shi 1000 da naira da wani abu akai. Me take so mu zama? Tana so mu bar Najeriya ne mu koma Chadi ko Kamaru? A rayuwar mu ta yanzu wanda mun sani 'yan Chadi Kamaru Chadi suna zuwa su ji daɗi a Najeriya, yau mu ne 'yan Najeriya muke wuta Chadi kamar mu je mu samu ji daɗi. mu ji daɗin rayuwa fi sabilillah wannan ya dace mutanen suna tausayin mu kenan dan Najeriya bai kamata ya rayu a litar da ta wuce 200 ba za a tausaya ita ce daidai karfin mu wanda zamu iya yi saboda muna rayuwa duk ɗan leburan Najeriya ba zai iya leburancin da ya wuce 2000 a wuni ba kuma a yau sai ya rayu akan 7,000 ya ci abinci shi da iyalansa ya za a zo a ce za mu sayi lita ɗaya 1,250 wani irin tunani ne nasu wannan man nan fa na 'yan Najeriya ne ba na shi ake daga wasu kasashe a kama na kasar mu ba saboda tsabar ba sa tausayin mu maimakon su sayar mana da shi da sauki sai kokarin kara mana su ya suke so mu ma ajiye abun hawan mu ci gaba da tafiya da kafa ko ya za a yi.
So what this Baba is saying is that it is unfortunate that the Nigerian government keeps increasing the fuel price. That what do the government want them to do? Do the government want them to move to neighboring countries like Chad, Cameroon, and other countries? Or what will they do? Because they are just battling to survive, and he's depending on this tricycle to survive to feed his family. So he said the increase is uncalled for, and the Nigerian government really need to revisit it. And that, as far as he is concerned, in Nigeria, the petrol price should not exceed 200 naira, as far as he is concerned, since the products are here and everything is almost here. And now that we even have Dangote refinery and the likes, so he is saying that much more needs to be done, and the government need to really consider the needs, the yearnings, the aspiration of hewers of wood and drawers of water, the masses who are paying through their nose.
Well, let me ask you one more question very quickly, Umaru Kirawa. I mean, you did mention about the public transport system, also the one provided by the governor, the state governor as well. Can you tell us what's really the difference? Is it cheaper to commute or to move from point A to B using the public transport system? And you also mentioned people have dropped their cars. They've stopped using their cars. What's it like on the roads now as you speak to us? Is it scanty? Do you have more people at home? And how are people commuting to work? Just two questions in one.
Yes. First, the issue of the situation of the road is scanty. That is a fact. That is the truth. Because people are battling to get what to eat first. And secondly, with regard to the issue of the public transport introduced by the state government, it is worthy of note that Borno State government is the first state that introduced the electric vehicles in Nigeria. And these vehicles are providing services at much more cheaper rate than the public commercial vehicles. They are providing services at 100 naira per drop, in contrary to the commercial vehicles that are paying 200 naira. And even their buses too, their passengers pay 100 naira, contrary to 200 naira that is being paid in commercial tricycles and other public means of transportation. But particularly for the buses, there is issue of congestion and so on and so forth, issue of theft of phones and so on and so forth. So it has its own repercussions, it has its own consequences. But by and large, people are paying through their nose, and the government really need to do much. Particularly with regard to the electric vehicles, the government need to deploy more of such vehicles, since we have solar, and they can establish charging stations, like discussions ongoing by the Northeast Development Commissions with regard to the approval by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that electric vehicles for e-mobility will be deployed in the Northeast. And they have started discussions with NURTW, NATO, and the likes. So much more really need to be done to meet the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians, because they are going through very difficult time, the darkest of ages.
I mean, Karawa, I don't mean to take you back, but before I let you go, you mentioned about the CNG cars, which is one of the biggest conversation everyone seems to be having now, if it's actually going to proffer any solution. Can you tell us categorically in the north, right there where you are, do you think that they opened to use of CNG cars? And most importantly, do you think even if electric vehicles are also introduced, would there be power, of course, in charging stations and so on to keep the residents going day by day so that they do not overly depend on fuel. What's your take on that, and what have you seen?
Well, yes, that is another conversation, and of course, that is another challenge which, like I've said earlier, discussions ongoing with NURTW and NATO, that the government really need to work in line, in tune with the needs and aspirations of the common man, of the people on the streets. And yes, the government said it will establish charging stations. That's what the NEDC said, particularly for the electric vehicles in the Northeast, particularly. So there's a way to go, but a journey of 1,000 miles, they say, begins with a step. We just hope it will meet the needs and address the yearnings of Nigerians, because truly it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. People are paying through their nose.
I agree with you. It's not easy. I mean, everyone is feeling the heat right now. Looking at 1,200, 1,300, and of course affecting transportation. And the fear is it's also going to affect every single thing, including food items and so on. But that's a conversation we're going to have later on. Thank you so much, Umaru Kirawa, joining us and giving us updates on what's happening right there in Borno.
Thank you.
Away from Umaru Kirawa, let's come back to Lagos, where a lot of persons, especially commuters, and everyone seems to be talking about the recent fuel hike. Many Nigerians, especially those in Lagos, which is the economic capital, are complaining. We've seen fuel queues on the rise, and questions are being asked as to why there would be a review of the fuel price hike in just twice in a month. Better still, how many times in a year? But we do have our man Ni Omoni, who's right there on the streets. Ni, quickly, can you share with us what's really going on, where you are, and give us an update on what really is happening?
Good morning, Joe. Yeah, so we are at Ikeja. It's about minutes past 9 or even 9:30, if I'm correct by my time here. And this is NNPC, one of the major stakeholders in petroleum in Nigeria. And just look at that price there, 998 naira per liter. That is the current reality, which is the second time the pump price has been increased in less than a month, from 650 naira to 897 naira, and now to 998 naira. Now they're about to open this place. Please come closer. I've spoken with people earlier, and they said NNPC just started selling, and this man has been here since 5 a.m. this morning to get fuel. How do you feel? How much does it take to fill up this car before, and how much will it take to fill up now, as against what you're earning?
Before I fill up this car 11,000 naira, but when they change it to 980 something, I fill up with 60,000. But now that is 998, I didn't sure I can buy 60,000 naira again, because I've been here since 5 o'clock. And there was a old man that said he has been here since 4:30. And they didn't sell to the man. We didn't understand the reason why they just delay us since.
As you can hear, Joe, they're about to clear the spot for him to drive in right now, so we have to excuse him. But this is his reality. He has been here since 5 a.m. and almost 3 to 4 hours later, he's just about to get fuel and drive into the, and you can see a whole lot of rancor is coming in here. You can see the queue, people trying to drive in. They're very angry. They are really agitated, and they're just trying to make sure no one comes before them before they go and drive into this petrol station. Joe, this is the reality of Nigerians currently. They are tired of the impunity. The boat driver that drove me this morning, I was trying to have a tete-a-tete with him, and he was mentioning the impunity, that's what is really getting him angry. The impunity the government has, and not realizing the reality of people right now. He said his earnings in a month, in a day right now, is almost less than 8,000 naira as a boat rider, as against what he earns earlier. And this is a problem, coupled with the inflation, the rise in food prices, and with the staggering, if I can put it that way, that always inflated and so high price of PMS. This is a challenge. And just if you see behind me here, there's another police station here, Total Energy, and these are the very few ones that are even selling at 998 naira per liter. On the NNPC website, Port Harcourt is selling for about 1,045 naira, with Warri selling for 1,040 naira. Lagos is one of the few selling for 1,010 naira. Aside, I'm talking about independent marketers. Aside other ones, and these are the challenge. This is the reality. I was speaking with someone earlier this morning. She was just getting angry. Her lights has finished. She's having issues with recharging. Not to couple with the fact that she's on band A and she has to pay almost 1,000 naira for 4.4 kilowatt per hour. Then she doesn't have PMS to drive, and her bank is also giving her issues, as we know some banks. It's a whole lot of problem. In fact, we might be talking about economic challenges now leading to mental crisis in Nigeria.
Well, you can say that again, mental crisis and a lot of challenges that Nigerians are going through. I mean, we did see one of the papers that said, talked about Nigerians having to struggle with their mental health. And I think this is where mental health check would be very, very needed. But Nee, aside from the queue and aside from your experience with the driver in whom you spoke with, can you also share with us what the area is looking like? The key question we were going to ask is, how are people moving to work? How are they commuting? How are they moving from point A to point B? And what have you seen so far so good?
I would like to take you, just let's see this road behind me here so that we can understand how very deserted the road is, or the roads are right now. You see that I can't even, you can see the queue from the filling station now. It's like if I can say snake and ladder in a local palace. It's very, very long, and I've barely seen any public transport move across this area. And we know that this place is where most public transports, when they load from Ogba, people going towards the island, they actually transit through this place. And I could barely count a local transporter that has passed here earlier. And it's not a place where you see most people just walking around, actually, yeah. But if we come to this other side of the road, just further ahead there, we'll see some tricycle riders. Let me see if they are quite far away from me, but I would see if I can walk up to them and have some conversation with them, but they are quite far. But while I wait to get there, I can tell you for a fact that it's been very, very difficult seeing so many people transit, because at the bus stops while we were coming here this morning, very few people were there, and the ones that are there have been stranded. Now, this is one vehicle here, one of the public transport, and you can see it's filled to the brim. And this is just few of the many others that we are supposed to see on these roads. I'm trying to go close to this motor rider. Sir, good morning, sir. How has business been for you? I just want to know. You're a transporter, and I want to know how long you've been here to buy fuel, if that's okay by you. How has business been for you? Now they've increased the fuel price to 998 naira. How does this make you feel?
Bro, I don't know what to say about it, Sha. For now, I don't know what to say about it.
Are passengers, when you tell them the new price has increased, are passengers comfortable entering your vehicle?
They are not comfortable, Sha. They are not comfortable. Even if people are not going out because of this thing. So they are not going out because of the cost of the fuel price and cost of transportation. So we are just managing to survive.
You've heard it from a transporter. Many people are not even coming out. If you look to my right-hand side here, you see the struggle it is for some who have the direct contact to actually buy PMS from this place. They are being given, some kind of access as against the normal entry where everyone has to queue. And this is the reality and the situation. Even the security officers are not left out. They just drove it. Everyone is seeking PMS. It's now the new gold. And you can see it's causing a lot of traffic on this side of the road. Joe, I can tell you for a fact, if you have a private vehicle right now, it's difficult to move. And if you do not have a vehicle right now, it's still difficult to move, even when you have the money to buy the product.
Well, Thank you so much, Leo Malango, for the updates. Thanks for also reminding me about the difficulty of moving, especially when I'm done with the news here. We'll join you again. We'll go to a quick break here on News Down. When we return, we'll bring to you more stories. Thanks for staying with us. The police have initiated 5 inquest dockets after 5 children in Naledi, Soweto died allegedly after eating snacks from a local spaza shop. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has committed a tax team to investigate the deaths of the children, providing a deadline of 2 weeks for the post-mortem results to be concluded. Exactly a year ago, just 2 streets away from where the 5 children lived, 2 families had lost their children after they also consumed biscuits bought from a local spaza shop. There has been outrage in the community, with some residents shutting down their businesses, followed by days of looting and protests. The tenant of the spaza shop has since fled after angry community members looted and threatened to burn it down on Sunday. Well, joining me now in the news is Leo Malango. She is the head of research, Not in My Name International, from Gauteng. Thank you for joining me. Can you quickly share with us your personal experiences related to this issue and take us into the tragedy, the story, and what really took place?
Thank you very much for having us, and greetings to your viewers also as well. Listen, this is not a new incident. It's been happening across communities. We are a very grassroots orientated organization, and part of our work is responding to the plight of our communities. And having happened after it happened a couple of months ago, and Gauteng government had already released a report of alarm to say that there is a high alert of foodborne diseases, particularly food poisoning. It really for us comes not as a shock, but very disappointing, and we are the people that have to go back to these communities and build these communities. Now, if communities find that they're not being protected and they are deliberately giving business to people who they think are threatening their livelihoods, it makes our job one that is very difficult. But also, it makes the space a very volatile one.
All right, quickly, can you explain to us, for the benefit of our viewers, what does a spaza shop do? What does it look like?
So think of a typical township, typical, very congested, very clustered, In one very clustered street, you find at least 3 tuck shops. They are small, often renting within people's residential yards. And these yards are not that big, but people will give them like a little bit of space to rent out. And in South Africa, you would typically have Ethiopians as people who will lease out the spaces, Somalians also as well. In one street in the township, you would find like 3 shops, very clustered, they sell as much as they could sell, and they almost even become a convenience store, and given, of course, the affordability of many people in the township, these really do end up being their primary source of goods, Many of them are not as hygienic as they should be, and nowhere in competition to the retail big chain stores that you find further from the people. This would mean that people would have to travel from them. So for most people, they would have to depend on these spaza shops that are very nearby to them and very much part of their communities.
All right. I want to say thank you, Leo Malango. We'll try and circle back to you in our subsequent news bulletin to get more feedback on the situation. Thanks for joining us at this moment. All right. Mozambique began counting votes on Wednesday at the close of tense presidential and parliamentary elections expected to allow the ruling Frelimo party to extend its 49 years in power. Vote tallying started shortly after polling stations closed at 6 p.m. local time, with initial results expected in about 2 weeks. 2 of the main opposition leaders have already warned against electoral fraud in the Southern African nation, plagued by high levels of poverty and jihadist violence in the north. Outgoing President Filipe Nyusi, who is stepping down after a 2-term limit, has called for continued calm and patience after a day of voting with no major incidents reported. And that's all we have for you on the news for this hour. Before we go, a quick look at some of the major stories. Some of the major stories we told you about are reactions to the recent fuel price hike in Nigeria. Also, we told you about counting of ballot papers ended in local government elections across 17 council areas in Plateau State. Also, counting has started in Mozambique general election as opposition warns against fraud. You can watch News Central on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Apple TV, and you can also stream live on other social networking platforms. I'm Joe Hanson, 10 a.m. Jasiri is up next. Thanks for watching.